Muted is Sunday, June 27th, 2021. I am your host, Monte Perez, aka the Sports Whisperer. Had some yes, we were dealing with some power outages here, but we are live, ready to go. You can follow me on social media on Twitter, MonteJP231, on Facebook, Monte Perez, and on Instagram, Monte Perez 2. I want to thank everyone for tuning in last week. Last week, we had 31 states tune into the full Monte Sports Show. Thank you for making the show as popular as it is. Our numbers are growing up every week. Our goal is to do this 5 days a week, and I can only do that with your help. So how do you do that? How do you help us get to 5 days a week? Well, first, call a friend, call a family member, tell them to subscribe to the Nuts and Bolts YouTube channel. Also, give us a thumbs up for this show. Give us a thumbs up for this show. Again, our goal is to do this 5 days a week, and we can only do that with your help. We have the best guests all across the country, and this week is no exception. Karita Parks, one of our fan favorites, is going to join us, talk about Washington sports. And then we have Jared Milligan and Greg Rector going to talk about the NBA, the NFL, what's going on in the series. Phoenix, big win last night, up 3-1. And I kind of expected the Atlanta Hawks to get blown out in Game 2 after their win in Game 1. And one of the reasons why I thought they were going to lose is I thought they were going to get blown out in the first quarter. It actually happened in the second quarter. So the Atlanta Hawks and Milwaukee Bucks are now tied 1-1. We will definitely talk about everything you need to know about the NBA and the NFL. But first, we always start the show with the good, the bad, and the ugly. This portion of the good and bad, the good, the bad, and the ugly is brought to you by BeamOrganics.com. Go to BeamOrganics.com. They create the highest quality functional supplements for better balance, performance, recovery, and sleep. It is trusted by wellness partners in all over the community. Go to BeamOrganics.com and check it out. Definitely will help you sleep. Definitely will help you recover. BeamOrganics.com. Again, check it out. So let's move to the good, the bad, and the ugly. All right, let's start with the good, guys. Let's start with the good. So there's a changing of the guard in the NBA. There's a changing of the guard in the NBA, and I really like it, right? We're seeing new players come on into the spotlight. We are seeing teams that we haven't seen before, right? The Atlanta Hawks, the Milwaukee Bucks. Okay, the Hawks haven't won a title since 1958. Milwaukee hasn't won a title since 1971. And I love seeing this, right? We're seeing young players step up. Devin Booker, Paul George. Paul George missed 2 big free throws. You know, I'm a LeBron guy, okay? But it's good to see other players step up. The Clippers have never won a title. The Phoenix Suns have never won a title. So when we're watching now, a changing of the guard, right? We're watching a changing of the guard. Now, I got to be honest with you. All 4 of these teams are flawed. All 4 of these teams are flawed. I don't even know if there's one team that has a legitimate back-to-the-basket player. I wouldn't consider Zubac. I would not consider Ayton a facing up back-to-the-basket low-post player. The Hawks' best player in the post is Danilo Gallinari, right? And maybe Giannis is the best post-up player. But we're seeing a changing of the guard, and I really like it. I really like it in the NBA. New blood. Again, I'm a LeBron guy, but I know a lot of people were tired of seeing him. So now we're seeing, something that we don't normally see. 4 teams that haven't been there in the longest time. 4 teams that haven't been there in the longest time. So I'm happy. I love it. And yeah, I don't like seeing big market teams right now. I'm glad I'm not seeing big market teams. I'm glad. So that's the good. We have some new blood finally in the NBA. Now to the bad. Now to the bad. So Giannis Antetokounmpo, the Greek freak, is really, really, really annoying me. And he's annoying me because when you watch his free throws, okay, when you watch his free throws, they are taking 12, 13, sometimes 14 seconds. Now, the rule in the NBA is you have 10 seconds to shoot a free throw. Here we have James Harden, priceless reaction here. James Harden saying, what the hell's going on, right? What the hell is going on? So I don't know what the answer is, but I will say this. Giannis Antetokounmpo said, I'm going to do my thing and let the refs do whatever they want. No, that's like a quarterback always having to delay a game and they don't call it. It's in the rules. 10 seconds. 10 seconds. Again, James Harden reaction here was absolutely priceless. James Harden reaction here was absolutely priceless. I don't know who taught Giannis how to shoot free throws like this. I don't know why anyone thought on the coaching staff this was a good idea. But it's so frustrating to watch, and I really wish the NBA would do something about it. They called it twice in the Brooklyn series. That's it. When Giannis goes to Atlanta tonight and he gets to the free throw line, you're going to hear the Atlanta Hawks fans chanting 1, 2, 3. He's going to go 12, 13. They got to blow the whistle. They got to blow the whistle. It's ugly to watch. The NBA, the NFL is all about up-tempo pace, rapid pace. One of the reasons why baseball has struggled over the years is because baseball is a slow-paced game. So the NBA's got to do something here. Maybe make it an 8-second rule in the offseason to try to speed this up because it's brutal to watch. So that's the good, the bad, and now let's get to the ugly. Look, I'm going to say it, guys. I've been saying it for about 2.5 years now. Kawhi Leonard is not my guy. Kawhi Leonard is not my type of guy. All right? Kawhi Leonard is sitting in the luxury box. In the luxury box during the games. Now, Greg brought up a great point, and he said, well, there's a rule you can only have 15 guys on the bench. Look, the Clippers didn't play 6 guys last night. The Clippers didn't play 6 guys last night. Now, if you want to keep Rondo on the bench because he does sometimes play, by all means, keep Rajon Rondo there. But you're telling me Kawhi Leonard, someone posted this picture, I think it's great, Kawhi watching his team play. Kawhi Leonard is supposed to be one of the best players in the game. Kawhi Leonard has a ton of experience winning a championship with the Spurs and the Toronto Raptors. You're telling me that Kawhi Leonard can't offer something to his teammates on the bench during the game? And if you're worried about, okay, there's only a certain amount, 15 guys are allowed on the bench, 6 guys didn't play for the Clippers last night. If you don't want Kawhi on the bench because you're afraid the NBA is going to fine you, put him in the back. Why is Kawhi Leonard sitting in a luxury box offering nothing to his teammates? I've seen players who are out for the year and they go to every game and they offer advice during every timeout. Kawhi Leonard is a horrible, horrible teammate. And no, Andrea, I'm not going to back off of him. Listen, he could be surly with the media. He could be a recluse. He doesn't have to talk. But you can't not be there for your teammates. You can't not be there for your teammates. And for 2 games in a row now, he's sitting in the luxury box with his kids. How is he helping them? How is he helping his team that is down 3-1? Okay, we see Rajon Rondo, who didn't play last night, talking to guys. You see guys like this. Udonis Haslem of the Miami Heat. I think he's played maybe 30 minutes in 2 years in non-blowout situations. Udonis Haslem's on the bench every game, talking to his teammates, offering them advice. What advice can Kawhi Leonard offer Now, what advice is Kawhi Leonard offering when he's sitting there with his two kids? And some people on Twitter, they're like, oh, you're overreacting. This is not as bad as it seems. No, it's very bad. It's very bad. So, Kawhi Leonard, when you go to Phoenix, be on the bench. Offer something to help your team. And I will say this. Thank you, George, for joining us from Las Vegas. Really appreciate it. I will say this. This Clipper team, it's over. They are going to lose either game 5 or game 6, and they're going to break up that team. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he was there. He was there. That's a great point. Great point, Greg. He was there. All right, that's the good, the bad, and the ugly. Definitely a lot of people don't think it's a big deal about Kawhi, but I think it's just it looks bad. It's just, this guy's never going to change who he is. So Andrea is right there. But come on, man. The one thing you want to do is you want to be there for your teammates. The one thing you want to do is you want to be there for your teammates. And again, this was the funniest thing I've seen. Kawhi Leonard watching the Clippers in game 3 and 4. All right, that's the good, the bad, and the ugly. And let's do something we always love to do, and that is surf the crowd. Yes, George, thank you. I appreciate you joining from Vegas. It's very early in Vegas. Appreciate it. Morning, George. Amber saying good morning. Yeah. The sooner they lose, the better. I feel bad for my friend Andrea because she was on such a high when the Clippers beat Utah, and she was telling me, she's like, you got to give the Jazz credit. I mean, you got to give the Clippers credit. And I told her, I said, Andrea, I had the Clippers beating Dallas. I had the Clippers beating Utah. I have Phoenix winning in 6. And the reason why I did, we weren't sure of Chris Paul's status, and we weren't sure of Kawhi Leonard's status, but I'll take the better coach here in Monty Williams. And we're going to talk about this with Greg, with Carita, and with Jared. One of the things, I've been on the Atlanta Hawks bandwagon for 4 months. As you know, I talk about Trae Young and the Atlanta Hawks on my show every week. But Mike Budenholzer is a terrible, terrible game coach. He doesn't make adjustments. So I'm trying to grapple with the fact, can you win a title with the 4th best coach remaining in the NBA playoffs? Because to me right now, it's Monty Williams. It's the entire Atlanta Hawk organization and coaching staff that has made them 35-15 when they made the change to Nate McMillan. It's Tyronn Lue, then it's Mike Budenholzer. So the 4th best coach probably has the most complete team, but we'll see tonight, because I think Nate McMillan's going to make some big-time adjustments, and I think that Mike Budenholzer is the worst coach remaining in the NBA Final Four. Okay, we're going to bring on the CEO of Double Take Sports, credential reporter with the Washington football team, the Wizards, the Mystics, the NFL, Karina Parks. Thanks so much for joining the Full Monty Sports Show. I'm going to take that Atlanta Hawks background. I'm going to save it for later because I've been the Atlanta Hawks for months. How are you this morning?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing good. We had a little technical problem here. Every once in a while in my condo, the power goes out. So, but we're up and running. Thanks for everyone being so patient. We started a couple minutes late, but we're so glad to have you on. So let's get right to it. Scott Brooks from the Wizards was fired. Compiled a record of 183 and 207. 5 seasons with this team. The best season he had was his first year. But here's my problem with them firing him. I've been calling for him to get fired for 2 years, right? Yes. But here's my problem. What did they expect this season? Because you've been on my show numerous times, and we thought they'd be a 7 or 8 seed. So didn't they do exactly what they were supposed to do?
They did do exactly what they're supposed to do, but my understanding from listening to the general manager, Tommy Shepard, is that they're looking towards the future. And I just got the sense that they don't feel like Scott Brooks will take them where they want to go in the future. Bradley Beal, he's coming up on another year where after this season, he can make a decision to stay with the Wizards or to keep it moving. And they're building this team around Bradley Beal. So I think they're in a win now type mode. and they should have been already, but I definitely think that they just don't see Scott Brooks as being the person who could take them towards the future.
Now, where do you see them going here? I know two very popular candidates out in Portland are Chauncey Billups and Becky Hammon. Where do you see them going, and who do you want to be the coach if you're playing the general manager position here?
Well, Sam Cassell has actually come up in conversation as of late. Him and Wes Unseld Jr. have actually been the names floating around as leading candidates for the Wizards job. Also, Scott Morrison, an assistant with the Boston Celtics, he's the only one that I know of who has actually interviewed for the job. My opinion, I don't think Sam Cassell is actually a bad option. He has some history with the Wizards. He was once an assistant. After he retired, the Wizards was the first team that he coached with, but also he has 3 championships. He knows what it takes to get there. He has a really good record with young guards, so I think he'll be great for Bradley Beal. And then obviously, I think he'll be respected by Russell Westbrook. So I'm leaning towards the Sam Cassell name. And also, I think that he's someone that fans would embrace, which is also very important. I think fans would actually be okay with that being the next head coach.
Yeah, no, Sam Cassell, I don't know why he hasn't. One of the mysteries is why he hasn't gotten a job. I know for years people were saying, why hasn't Tom Thibodeau gotten a job? And then it turns out that Tom Thibodeau was he didn't have a big personality in interviews. But when I think of Sam Cassell, the first thing I think about is his smile, his personality. So what do you think the reason is why Sam Cassell hasn't gotten the nod yet as an NBA head coach?
That's a really good question. I don't exactly have an answer to that. I mean, sometimes it's just timing. I mean, we see a lot of assistant coaches who should be head coaches, but I think that maybe his relationship with Tommy Shepard and just where this team wants to go right now, I think he has a really good chance. And like I said, it's just timing sometimes, and maybe this will possibly be the right opportunity for him.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted the Knicks before they hired Tom Thibodeau to hire Becky Hammon, but then I kind of said the New York media, you know this, the New York media, Portland may have 6 beat reporters going on the road. New York has 30. Do you think if you had to put the money on the line, the NBA talks a lot about equality. Do you think Becky Hammon gets her first head coaching job this year?
I hope so, but like you said, are we going to be about action, or are we just going to keep talking? But I think it has to be the right team. For me, with the Wizards, because they're such a young team, and then they have those veterans, and they're in a position where they're trying to win and make sure that they can keep Bradley Beal. I just think there's too much at stake. I don't necessarily think Wizards is the right job for her, but I think for the right team, why not? She's proven that she can do it.
Okay, so we're going into this offseason here. There's a lot of free agents out there. What do the Wizards do? Because their roster was so heavy on Bradley Beal and Russell Westbrook. And what we're seeing now, it's amazing because we've seen the big 2, in LA, get wiped out in the first round of the playoffs because of injuries, looked old, looked slow. We're seeing, the big 3 get injured, old or slow in Brooklyn. So we're seeing teams like the Atlanta Hawks, who it's always Trae Young, but other guys are stepping up. Last night, Devin Booker fouls out. Chris Paul, other players step up. Yeah. What are the Wizards going to do? Because I have a feeling that we're starting to see with these super teams, it's not working out as everyone wanted it to work out. But what we're seeing now, the teams remaining, the depth of the Milwaukee Bucks. Yes, they're led by Giannis, but Chris Middleton, Drew Holiday have played phenomenally. The Suns have depth. Before he got hurt, Cameron Payne played great throughout the playoffs. And you're seeing, one night it's Bogdanovich, one night it's Danilo Gallinari, another night it's someone else. Lou Williams has come off and played well. So my point is in this long-winded rant that I'm saying is that the Wizards need depth. So where are they going? Because you can't rely on someone like Russell Westbrook who wants to play every game. He might get injured. Where do they go for help?
I think there's a couple of options. I mean, I've heard some names floated around of folks that might be on the market, like Pascal Siakam. He's a good rebounder, which has been a struggle for the Wizards. Also, he's a good defender, which has also been a struggle for the Wizards. And then he can help on the scoring end as well. Another name that's been floating out there, Marcus Smart. I think that from the defensive side of the ball, he could help the Wizards. And then once again, they need someone who can defend and score. So Marcus Smart can do that as well.
He's gotten much better as a shooting. And one of the things I look at this Wizard team, I want more length. Could they go back to JaVale McGee? Because everywhere JaVale McGee goes, he doesn't wind up playing. But I watched him in LA. When he played, he'll play 15 minutes. He'll get you 3 blocks, 8 rebounds, and 5 or 6 points. Would that be an option to get some depth up front?
That would be an option, definitely. Daniel Gafford also did a really good job this season. So I definitely think we'll see more of him. And he did a great job protecting the rim. He gave you about 11 to 12 points a game. They don't need someone to carry the scoring load per se, but they do need more scorers because, Bradley Beal's doing a good job, but they need some help for Bradley Beal, additional help because Russell Westbrook, he got his triple doubles, but he's not necessarily known as a scorer. Like they need another scorer on that team. And like I said, someone who can defend and rebound. So I think Tommy Shepard's looking to make some big moves this offseason. I think he's willing to do what he has to do to take this team to the next level. I mean, he showed that by finally cutting the court with Scott Brooks. So we'll see where he goes. But I think he's going to make some big moves.
One of the things I had such high hopes for because you have Bradley Beal, you have Russell Westbrook, who can create their own shot, was this guy. But I got to be honest with you. Yeah. Davis Bertans, I mean, what the hell happened? He was so inconsistent, and all he has to do basically is stand out there and shoot the 3. Were you shocked at how bad and inconsistent he was?
I was definitely disappointed. Like, you just gotten like $80 million. You cannot be inconsistent. And I know he had some struggles in the beginning. He was one of the guys who was on the COVID list, and then he didn't get over to the States. It took a while for him to get over to the States, I think also because of COVID. So he was a little behind on training. Then he got injured. So there was just a lot. That's why I kind of mentioned Pascal Siakam, because one thing about Davis Bertans, he can hit those threes. But other than that, he's not a weapon on the court. He's not a good defender. He's not a good scorer otherwise.
And he shot 40%.
On for threes.
Yeah, he shot 40% from the floor. This is the guy who's supposed to be one of the better shooters.
Yeah.
So do you think just, we've heard stories where COVID takes a long time. Do you think it was just he got off to a rough start and like he could never recover, and then he starts pressing? I see this now with Francisco Lindor of the Mets. He's had a terrible start. Every time he gets up, he signs that big money contract like Bertans did, and it's almost like they want, like for basketball, he wanted to hit every shot. Like he never let the game come to him. You think he was pressing because of the money?
Well, absolutely. I think he was pressing because of the money, but I also think he was off to a rough start. He knew he wasn't playing well. So I just don't think that helped him throughout the season. I don't think he was just ever able to really bounce back. But I think it's multiple factors. Just knowing he wasn't playing well and just trying to do what he had to do.
So you've said this numerous times, just going to give you a chance to, change your statement. If I'm the Wizards, I break it up. You want to see Bradley Beal and Westbrook back, correct?
I do want to see Bradley Beal and Westbrook back. I think at this point, you don't blow it up. If you were going to blow it up, then you should have done that already. You should have did that before you offered Bradley Beal another contract, before you decided to build the team around Bradley Beal. So at this point, you kind of have to ride it out, in my opinion.
Okay, and so what's a good season for them next year? 4-5 seed, or are we looking at another 7 and 8 seed and that's it?
4 or 5 seed, you got to take the next step as far as I'm concerned.
Okay.
Especially if you get a new coach, like you have to take that next step.
Okay.
At this point, they just have to take the
Got it.
I can't even say anything else.
Okay. We're talking with Karita Parks live here on the Full Monty Sports Show. Make sure to give us a thumbs up and subscribe on YouTube. We're going to switch gears to the NFL. Mm-hmm. When I look at this Washington football team, I see a team that's going to reach their potential under their head coach. Mm-hmm. But I see a team that has a lot of question marks, and we could start with their offensive line. They've been trying to replace Trent Williams. They just signed Charles Leno Jr. Do you like this deal? Was this something that had to get done as soon as possible?
I think they need a solid option at left tackle, and I think that he gives that to them. He's an experienced starter, and with Sam Cosmi that they brought on, and then they still have Cornelius Lucas. They're both versatile, so they can play left or right tackle. I believe depth is important to this team too, and versatility. They were very huge on that in the draft. So I think that gives them a solid option at left tackle, but they still have other options.
Right. But you think he's coming there to start, right? He's coming there to play right away.
He's coming to start, and I think that's fine because I think that's fine for him to come in and start. It takes some pressure off of Cosme, who would be a rookie. And it's still, I think, a competition, though. We still have to go through training camp. So presumably he is the starter, but if someone outshines him, Coach Rivera made bold moves, and he's going to go with the best option at left tackle.
Yeah, one of the things I like about him is everything's a competition. That's how he was as a player. And that's what you need sometimes when you're trying to build a winning team. All right, one of the things I really like about this team, we look despite not having a great offensive line, Gibson averaged 4.7 yards per carry, J.D. McKissick 4.3. If the offensive line plays well, can you win in December with these two running backs?
You can win in December with both of them, but it has to be a balanced attack. I don't think you can rely solely on the run game, but they really did a good job coming into their own last season. It's unfortunate with Gibson that he had that toe injury towards the end of the year, but he had 3 touchdowns on his own against the Cowboys in that game on Thanksgiving. They make a really good tandem. I would like to see Gibson do a little bit more pass catching this season, but I think between him and McKissick, they have a good running back tandem.
Well, I like it just because of the fact, you don't see a lot of teams other than, maybe Dallas or one or other two teams that rely 20 to 25 times per game. And they're even talking about Ezekiel Elliott getting less than 25 touches now, because we know that the days of the Walter Paytons, the LaDainian Tomlinson playing 15, 16, 17 years as running backs, the Emmitt Smiths, are few and far between. But when you can have a duo or trio of running backs, that's got to help them and keep them fresher in the fourth quarter. And we know Ron Rivera wants to win with defense and running the ball. So you're very confident in these guys.
I am confident. I think that Gibson's going to actually take another step this year. That was his rookie season, and he started to find his flow mid to late season. So I think we're going to see that carry over. There was so much uncertainty last season at the quarterback position with just everything that happened with Dwayne Haskins and Alex Smith, and then you had Heineke come in. So there was a lot of uncertainty at that position, and yet they still were able to succeed. So I think with some continuity, we'll see them both take that next step forward.
Yeah, and one of the things I do like is your number one wide receiver, Terry McLaurin, had 87 catches last year. How is the addition of Curtis Samuel? Because I loved Curtis Samuel last year. He ran out of the backfield. He sometimes threw the ball. He was a running back. He's a guy that could get you over the middle passes. This wide receiver core is going to be pretty good, right?
Absolutely. It's pick your poison. Washington hasn't had a pick your poison situation in a while. So all of the attention was on Terry McLaurin the past 2 seasons. Now, if you have Curtis Samuel on the field, you have to figure out where they're going to go. And if they go to McLaurin or if they go to Samuel, you're in trouble either way. So it definitely takes the pressure off of Terry McLaurin. I think it'll allow him to shine even more, because even just being the main wide receiver, he was already shining. But this gives him an opportunity to really show what he's about. So I think we're going to see him actually really explode this season.
Yeah, when you're constantly being double teamed or you're the number one option and you're still putting up 87 receptions on the year, Curtis Samuel is definitely going to add to the depth there, and they're not going to be able to so much focus on him. But I want to talk about the tight end position, because for years you had guys who were very good, but they couldn't stay healthy. Besides the offensive line, what is the weakness on offense on this team, and what are you guys doing with the tight end position? What do you expect?
Oh, goodness. I would say the weakest positions on the offense is the tight end. They brought in a couple of pieces in this offseason. Their main focus, or I should say their most consistent option right now, they only have one consistent option. So I think we're going to really see that be a competition. I'm hoping they brought in Benjamin St. Juice also, so
Right.
we'll see what he can do. They brought in Reyes, so I think it's really going to be a competition there. But there's only one certain weapon right now, which is Logan Thomas.
Right.
Thank you, Greg, because I drew a total blank on.
Oh no, I was going to say Logan Thomas, but I thought you were going to. Yeah,
I went completely blank on Logan Thomas. I'm not going to even lie about that.
That's fine. See, the thing is, I know, like Ryan Fitzpatrick, you watch him, and he likes to use his tight end. It's kind of like his safety. I think both of your running backs should get a lot of dump offs out of the backfield. But here's the problem I have with Ryan Fitzpatrick. Okay, so you're going into the division games late in the season. First of all, he looks exactly like Conor McGregor. I had to throw this up here. I mean, I've never seen these two at the same place at the same time, so they might be the same person. That's the first thing. The second thing is, are you nervous that when you go into the division, every division game, you have the fourth best quarterback? I don't care how you do it. I think, Jalen Hurts, the Giants, Dallas, they all appear to have better quarterbacks. Does that concern you that you're going in with the fourth best quarterback?
Doesn't concern me at all, really. Honestly, if he's accurate and takes care of the ball and can at least be productive, that's all they need. If you look at the other teams in the division, their team is not built around the defense. Washington's team is built around the defense. If the defense does what we think they can do, which they showed us last year, the offense just needs to be solid. For me, I'm a Jacksonville native, so I always think back to when the Jaguars went to the AFC Championship against the Patriots. Blake Bortles was their quarterback.
Correct.
Blake Bortles did just enough. He took care
and they
of the
should
ball.
have won that game against the Patriots. They were ahead.
Miles Jack wasn't down. That's all I'm going to say about that. But they definitely should have won that game. But it was all on defense, and what they say, defense wins championships. So if Fitzmagic can take care of the ball, not make any huge mistakes, and the offense can just be productive, I think it's fine. I don't care if he's the fourth best quarterback in the division.
I don't even know what Andrea's saying here. Fitzmagic is a sexy Sasquatch. So, hey, it is, I don't know if that's a compliment or a put down. Okay, here's the dynamic. It could be both. Here's the dynamic that I'm interested to see, because I think this is one of the most compelling teams before we get to the defense, is that we know that your head coach, Ron Rivera, doesn't like people who turn the football over. He's all about running the ball, defense. It's kind of like Bill Parcells, and I don't agree with this philosophy, is, don't win the game, but don't lose the game. So do you think if Fitzpatrick has in game 3 throws 3 interceptions, Ron Rivera is going to lose his mind?
I think that, we know Ron Rivera is not opposed to making midseason moves. I think he'll give him an opportunity. I don't think he'll give up on him that quick after 3 games. I think he'll give him an opportunity to do better. But if he doesn't, Heineke is lurking in the background. But once again, that position is still also a competition.
Right.
We're assuming Ryan Fitzpatrick will be the starter. That is a proper assumption. But if in camp someone beats him out, Heineke is who I'm thinking. Ron Rivera will go with the best option at quarterback.
No, I agree with that. And that's why, I'm so disappointed in Nagy from the Bears when he came out and he said Andy Dalton's our starting quarterback. You just moved up in the draft to draft a very talented quarterback. Why not have an open competition? But, yeah, you make a great point. Ron Rivera is not he'll pull the trigger if he has to. Now, I want to talk about this defense. Can I make the argument that the Washington football team is a top 10 defense this year in the NFL?
Oh, for sure, for sure. Last year, they were coming into a new system, new defensive coordinator, but they were still one of the top defenses in that division. I definitely believe this year, second year under Del Rio, You still got Chase Young in his second year. So he's learned some things from his rookie year. We saw Montez Sweat really emerge last season and find his game. So I think he's going to build upon that. This defense is going to be a force to be reckoned with. I definitely believe that.
Yeah, I really like what this defense. I said coming out, I said that Chase Young could be better than the Bosa brothers. I don't know. He's not there yet, but he's just a force. You were a little bit down on Montez Sweat. You said it was a make or break year. He definitely stepped up. Okay, over under. We play 17 games this year. I'm giving you 9 wins for the Washington football team. Over under.
I'm going to take a gamble, and I'm going to go over.
Okay. All right. So who do you think wins this division? Is it Dallas, or are you saying this division is so up for grabs right now?
This division is always up for grabs. It really is always up for grabs. And I think there's still been so many changes with all of the other teams that, I mean, the Eagles are probably still in contention. I think it's still up for grabs, but I think Washington's going to be better this year. So I think they have an opportunity to win the division more convincingly.
It's amazing because there was like a 6 or 7 year period in the NFC East where no one won the division back-to-back years. So one year was Washington, then it was Philadelphia, then it was the Giants, then it was Dallas. So that division is crazy. Okay, finally, Kareem, we have like a minute or two left. I just want an outside perspective, okay? Because I've been talking about Trae Young for 4 months. He's a much better scorer at this stage here than Steph Curry. I don't want to hear that they've only been on national TV for 5 years. Someone like you who follows basketball, who knows the ins and outs, why isn't the national media embracing this Atlanta Hawk team who was 35-15 after the All-Star break? Because I got to be honest, after I watched the post-game shows, all they did after game one was talk about how bad the Bucks were. Okay? When they talk about the Knicks, oh, Tom Thibodeau didn't do this. Why aren't the Atlanta Hawks getting the damn credit they deserve?
You know, in my opinion, it's because they're not the sexy team. It's supposed to be the Bucks. It's supposed to be like the Clippers, the Lakers. It's supposed to be all these flashier teams. And I really just think that they're in denial no matter what the Hawks do. And like you said, Trae Young, he has been balling all season. We've been seeing the Hawks just continually climb season after season. So I don't know why this is a surprise, like you said, but I really think it's because they're just not the team that's supposed to be there. They're not the team everybody wants to see in the finals. And that's
okay. Great point. So who is your pick for the finals? You obviously have the Suns winning. Is Milwaukee? I am so disgusted with the Milwaukee coaching staff, and I don't care what Brook Lopez did the other day. He's the softest NBA player in the history of the NBA.
Man, you know, I am really, really conflicted about this Eastern Conference. I'm really conflicted about it. I feel like from the Bucks' perspective, they've been in this position so many times. It's almost like if they don't advance, then like what are we doing with the Bucks? But then you have the Hawks who just have that underdog mentality right now, and I am going to go with the Hawks for that very reason right there. To your point, they're not getting the respect. They know they're not getting the respect, and they want to prove that they can make it to the finals. And you got to give Nate McMillan credit. Like, you really do. And talk about making bold moves. Atlanta, mid-season, fired their coach, who really wasn't doing a bad job.
Well, I'll say this. Lou Williams wanted out of there. He's not. Not Lou Williams. Lou Williams wanted. No, I'm not thinking Lou Williams. I'm thinking. Rajon Rondo. Rondo wanted out of Atlanta so bad. He's not even playing with the Clippers.
No.
So talk about a bad move. And Nate McMillan again, 35-15 in the second half. You think the Indiana Pacers are going crazy because they got rid of him too early?
I mean, maybe, but it is what it is.
So you have the Hawks and the Suns.
That's what I'm going with. I think that would be a pretty good matchup as well.
I think it would. Okay, final question. Last minute of the game. Mm-hmm. You want Trae Young with the ball, or do you want Devin Booker with the ball if you had to pick one?
Gosh, that's a tough one. Man, I would trust either of them with the ball, to be honest with you.
The only reason I'm going to take Trae Young is because he's a much better passer than Devin Booker.
Okay, that's fair.
No, but you're not making a you're not. I'm bringing on Jared next, who I don't know if he has stock in Phoenix or Devin Booker, but he's obsessed with Devin Booker.
The only reason I would say Trae Young is because he's hungry, and not to say Devin Booker isn't, but Trae Young is hungry, and you see it in his game. And I think for Atlanta, it would be a do or die situation, and we've seen what he does in those do or die situations.
And what I love about him is he's not afraid to go on the road, take a big shot, and then like he does here, just bow in Madison Square Garden. Like he's a showman. He's cocky. He's undersized, but he's an assassin. Karita, love having you on. How can we follow and support you?
Definitely follow me at Karita C. Parks. My handle is on the screen, and that's where you can see all of my work. Also follow Double Take Sports. That's my sports brand, sports media website. It's at DBL Take Sports.
Okay. Thank you so much. Really appreciate the time, and we'll see you down the road.
Thanks for having me.
Great job as always. Karita Parks always does a tremendous job. Again, follow her on social media. Love watching her interview certain players. She's definitely a not only knowledgeable, but so professional in the way she presents herself. So I really appreciate her taking the time. You're watching the Full Monty Sports Show live on YouTube. Give us a thumbs up. Subscribe to the Nuts and Bolts YouTube channel. When we come back, Jared Miller and Greg Rector are going to yell at me. So get ready for the trash talking to begin.
The Team Nuts and Bolts Sports Store is officially open. Log on to www.teamnbsmerch.com and get your t-shirts, hoodies, polos, all sizes available. Once again, log on to teamnbsmerch.com. Get yours today.
All right, guys, this portion of the show is brought to you by East Coast Cover. The smart commuter cover was designed with 40 years of riding experience and delivers a high-quality, long-lasting American-made product with size and style to cover whatever two wheels you ride. It's also the first cover with an adjustable fit and attached backpack for quick and easy storage. They made me a cover for my bike with my logo on it, the Full Monty Sports Show, and I'm also proud to announce they just partnered up with the Bike Hub in Jersey City. But if you don't live in New York, New Jersey's, no worries. You can order that bike cover anywhere. Again, go to ECKNYC.com. All right, let's bring on two guys who just love to argue with me. Jared and Greg, how are you?
What's up, man?
All right, we're getting a little background, Jared. Do you have you have an earpiece? We're hearing a background. Is that yours?
Oh, no. You hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now. That's fine.
Okay.
Do you hear like a little double take there or no? It's better now. Okay, it's better now. All right, Jared. So I went off in my opening rant about Kawhi Leonard. Greg kind of told me last night, yeah, there's a rule with that. But Jared, look, let's be honest. He should not be there, Jared. He should not be in the luxury box. He should be behind the bench. The Clippers had 6 guys who didn't play last night. Why the hell is Kawhi Leonard on vacation while his team is battling for a chance to get to the NBA Finals? I know you love this dude, Jared, but it's 100% wrong here.
Well, you don't know what the league policy is, though. Like they might be making him
sit behind the bench.
Yeah, that might not be allowed either.
Okay, so you know what? You pay the fine. You pay the fine.
Fair enough.
I know what the league policy is, though. You dress 15 guys. They are allowed to have 13 of those guys on the bench. 2 stay in the locker. That's what they do all through the season when they have the 15 guys available. 2 stay in the locker room. Now, all you needed to do was to make your numbers work. You could have Kawhi there. He could have been there.
Yeah. It's a bad look, Jared, when your number one star is chilling with his kids while your team is battling to get to the NBA Finals for the first time in their history.
I mean, it's semantics.
Come on, Jared. I know he's your boy.
So, I got to look at the bright side of it then. I can't. I'm not going to crush the guy because he wants to be up. He's an introvert to begin with. He's a weird cat. We all know that. Maybe he prefers to be up in the rafters watching the game. Well, who knows? But like,
I don't give a rat's ass what he prefers. I'd want him on the bench. Help it, Greg. Am I wrong here?
No, you're not. You're not wrong. I mean, he's supposed to be a captain, a leader. Even if he's the quiet guy that doesn't say a whole lot, lead by example. That means you stand by your teammates. Stand with them. Be there. It's that simple. It's not that difficult. No.
Greg, so you have a problem with it too?
Oh yeah, I disagree with it. Now this is also proving my point that I got all sorts of flack 2 years ago that it was Kawhi Leonard that won the Raptors the title. What a load of horse pooey, and I said it then, I'll say it now. He was a piece of the puzzle. He was not the only reason the Raptors won a title. So can we get rid of that narrative permanently?
All right.
Real quick, he might have been a piece, but he was certainly the biggest piece of that puzzle. And I will say this about his leadership. He's not really a leader. Popovich told you that 3-4 years. Kawhi's not a leader. He's not that kind of guy that's going to take people.
No, that's not what I'm saying. Leadership comes in many forms. Leadership by example. You don't have to say a word. You don't have to say a word by example.
No, that's a fair point. And I just think, Jared, I'm just muting you when I talk because we keep getting an echo with your thing. So when you see the unmute, you know what I'm saying? So this way we don't have the background. Because watch, when I'm talking now, when I talk now, I think sometimes you could hear the echo in the background with you. So when I just watch the monitor, so this way we don't get the background.
Okay.
No problem. Jared, we saw this with in San Antonio. We saw it when it came out that he would fly all over the place. He would do his own thing in Toronto. So Greg has a point, but you also make a point. Listen, he hit that big shot against the Sixers in Game 7. But Kawhi Leonard, if I'm starting a team, he's not my guy, Jared. I'm sorry.
Okay, that's fair. I mean, that's your prerogative. You know, he on the court, I still don't take anybody. He's just phenomenal when he's on the court. Maybe, there are some things. I blame it all on his damn uncle. I mean, ever since his uncle got involved with his whole, PR and wanting him to obviously force a trade out of San Antonio and do all this crazy, he's like in his brain or something, man. He's like a totally different person since his uncle has really taken over, the leadership of his whole camp.
I can't even call it leadership, to be honest.
Yeah, whatever you want to call it, but he's a weird dude, man. His uncle's a weird guy.
All right, let's move. Greg, I want to talk about the coaching mismatch. I think that Mike Budenholzer, again, how many times did Kevin Durant get any shot he wanted, right? We've talked about this throughout the playoffs with Trae Young against the Knicks, against the Sixers, not getting knocked into next week. But Mike Budenholzer is he's the fourth best coach remaining in the playoffs. Can you win a title with your coach being that bad?
No. I think the Bucks may get past the Hawks here, and if they do, they're going to run into the Suns, and the Suns will beat them because they are a deeper, better coach team than the Bucks. The Bucks can claim depth, but we've only seen that depth really show up a couple of times. It has not been a consistent contribution from the whole roster, right, with the Bucks, and unless they get that happening, they're going to lose. They're going to lose in the finals.
Jared, you know that my thing was, as a coach, I coached you in college. Always be prepared. Work your ass off in practice so the games are easy. Can you explain to me why no one on the Bucks coaching staff has told Giannis this is a terrible idea with free throw shooting?
Yeah, that's strange. I don't get it. I mean, playing. I wasn't the best free throw shooter for some reason either myself. But when I realized when I took longer at the line, it was a lot harder for me. It's more pressure the longer you take, in my opinion. So when I switched up my routine, I probably gained another 10% on my free throws over the course of my career. I think it's a weird. Like, why are you taking 15 seconds at the line, man? You're psyching yourself out. I think you need to be more natural with it, You need
to be in rhythm. We talk about this all the time. You need to be in rhythm.
That's what I used to do. I mean, Monte, you and I talked about it. I mean, I took young girls at the AAU level, at the lower AAU level, and brought them into the game sort of thing. Those girls, knee bend, one bounce, up and through.
It's all about rhythm.
It's rhythm. Don't think about it. Just don't think about it.
Mm-hmm.
Greg, one of the other things we talked about with just watching coaching and watching it's been the timeout situation. That's one of the things that I talked about on my show on Tuesday, and we'll start with Jared. We'll go to Greg. Why is it the best players in the league now are getting any shot they want at the close? Jared, don't you subscribe to the theory? Let anyone else beat you?
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense, of course, but I think that coaching has gotten worse. I mean, clearly. I mean, you can see that. I mean, we know we have our talks on Twitter all the time. I feel like half of us are better coaches than some of these guys.
Well, Jared, you know I was. So.
You were one of my favorite coaches ever, Monte. Yeah, you were up there.
Well, thank you. That's because I believed you at an early age, so I gave you the confidence you needed.
You helped me out along the way.
Let's be honest. I didn't just coach you on the court. I turned you into a man because you were soft.
Good.
Here we go.
Greg, so I'm going to say this. I don't care what he did in game 2, okay? When Trae Young, who's 5'11", 155 pounds, gets 7 rebounds, and Brook Lopez gets 1, I mean, is this the softest guy in the NBA? Greg?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that was so ridiculous. Backing up in the paint in that one game there. Hello, how big are you and how big is he? Go and smother him.
And Greg, one of the things that we talk about all the time, Jared knows this. When we played, we were a 3-point shooting team. There's not one team left in this finals. That's why it's so open, Jared, because every team has weaknesses, right? The Hawks' best post-up player is Danilo Gallinari, who you think is unstoppable in the last 4 minutes of the game. Okay, the Bucks' free throw shooting with Giannis, your main guy, is terrible. The Clippers don't have a back-to-the-basket player, and the Suns, I think, are the most complete team now. Is that a fair assessment?
Oh yeah, no, I agree 100%. Like up and down that lineup, I think they're primed for a couple-year run, man. They can be pretty damn good, and I love Monty Williams as a coach. I've loved Monty Williams for years as a coach. I think he's by far the best coach left in this last 4. He's done an awesome job there. I remember him back in the Pop days. You saw him on the bench there. I'm like, this guy's, he just got to figure it out, man. I know, you'd always hear glaring reviews about him, years ago. So I knew he'd end up taking that leap. And I see this guy winning multiple championships in his career. So I think he has an awesome chance to do it with that team this year for sure.
Greg, one of the things I love about Monty Williams is this Phoenix Suns team never beats themselves, Greg. They're so prepared for every game and every situation. Well, that out of bounds play was amazing when they won it at the buzzer.
We have to take the one exception out of there from Game 3 because Game 3 it was our injured star is back syndrome. And why players stop doing what they were doing without the guy in the lineup as soon as a guy returns is beyond me.
Yeah, but Greg, if you're going to win a game,
but that was that one game. It was that one game.
But if you're going to win a game 3,
it just happens way too much.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, sure. But it still happens way too much when your number one guy comes back. Let's watch what he does so that we'll win this game. No, play the damn game the same way you did the first 2.
Okay, but you agree that the Phoenix Suns are the most complete team left in the postseason?
Oh, easily. Okay. Easily.
Okay, final question before we move to the NFL. Jared, I'm going to start with you. Who are you taking? Last minute of the game, you taking Trae Young or Devin Booker?
You know who I'm taking, man. I'm taking the guy who's 6'5", can see over anybody, can get that shot up over anyone. Not worrying about elevating on that shot. Any shot
hold on.
Anytime.
Let's slow down. Trae Young is not getting his shot blocked with the teardrop and the jumper. He's not getting it blocked.
What do you mean?
He's dominated every team he's faced. He's dominated.
You just watched his jumper get blocked like 2 games ago.
One game.
So what?
Devin Booker was terrible in Game 3.
How many times have you seen Devin Booker's jump shot get blocked?
Dude, you're talking – listen. He's averaging 30 and 10 in the postseason.
I don't care. Yeah,
who are you taking, Greg?
He's a little mosquito. I can't stand it.
Who are you taking, Greg?
I'm not a big fan of Gaga over either one of them. They're good guards for young guards, etc., but they still have flaws, etc. I'm going to take Trae Young though because he's the faster of the two and he can get to the slashes to the bucket.
Look at this, Greg. I think this is the first time on my show I'm giving you a standing ovation. Thank you, Greg. Thank
You
you.
have to agree with one of us, right? Eventually, one of these years.
That is true.
Once.
All right, let's move the background here. Let's get to the NFL. Jared, we're going to start with you. You and Greg are probably going to disagree here, but I agree with you, Jared. There's no way in hell I'm starting Jimmy Garoppolo game one.
Oh, I agree. I mean, literally, we have training wheels for the last 3 years in our offense. So you're telling me a rookie can't come in and just do what all he does is throw the ball 8 yards to his left 14 times a game or hands it off. Like, I think anybody can do that realistically. So, and Lance he's a damn savant. So he picked up the playbook already. You know, that they were impressed by that. They threw everything at him. He got the full scale of everything. And clearly his physical attributes are through the roof. So why wouldn't you just start him and get him out there? Like, that's personally what I would like to see.
Okay, Greg is going to make the argument right now that the reason why you sit Trey Lance is because Patrick Mahomes sat, right, Greg?
No, it's not just that, but I mean, he is the example. Mahomes did sit for a season. Come on. You don't necessarily have to throw these guys out there. If you are comfortable, if you are totally comfortable in San Francisco that your offensive line is at its peak, then okay, you're going to put Trey Lance out there. I got no issues with that. The reason why I keep talking about Chicago and Justin Fields is their offensive line has question marks. Let Dalton be out there. Let him take those hits the first few weeks. Then if their line starts to gel, week 4, you've got a weak opponent in the Detroit Lions. Go for it, Justin. You got to pay attention to the entire scenario of what your team faces, what your depth is, et cetera, et cetera. You just can't say, okay, we drafted him, let's throw him out there, because what happens? You get the Sam Darnold complete struggles because he's got nothing around him.
Yeah.
Well, okay.
You
Well,
the same situation,
you look at it's a different situation, Jared.
Yeah.
I'll let you talk next. You look at Justin Herbert, what he's done. You look at Josh Allen, didn't have a ton of talent.
That was a better place to put a guy into the lineup. Now, he didn't start week 1.
No, but listen, San Francisco has a plethora of talent, so that's why you want to play Trey Lance.
And that's why I'm saying in this situation, I don't have the same issue that I do with Chicago.
Got it. Okay.
Right?
So
I don't mind Trey Lance starting.
Look at Andrea. Dalton, Greg, really?
Andy Dalton, 5 times. He got the Bengals in the playoffs 5 times. The Bengals. Come on.
Yeah, but they had AJ Green. They had a good defense. They had
running
game.
He's got Allen Robinson. He's got David Montgomery. He has offensive weapons.
Okay.
I mean, he doesn't have. I mean, so back to the Lance thing. So our line is really good. I mean, I think if we're healthy, of course, that's the 49er way. If we're healthy, I mean, it's a top 5 line in my opinion. You got the best left tackle in football. You got a really solid right tackle. Guards are always really solid. Now we got, a center finally who, knows the Shanahan system, and he doesn't really get hurt. So knock on wood, he stays healthy. And of course, then you have just those. I mean, we got weapons galore, man. I think I'm still waiting. My favorite player hasn't even touched the field yet. I'm waiting to see this kid Jalen Hurd play. And if he plays, you're not going to be able to guard this team. You're just not. So then you add the effect of Lance playing 11-on-11 football. And Lance, he's good. He don't take really big hits. And if you watch him in college, he initiates the hits more than he took the hits.
Well, yeah, that's one thing you can't do in the NFL.
Now you're talking a big difference, though. He's making an even bigger step up than most guys do because of the level of college he was in.
Yeah,
now,
but let's be honest.
Wait a second, though. Carson Wentz did succeed when he came out of the same school for a season. He succeeded until he got hurt, blah, 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 and then we all know what's happened to him since. So it can be done. All I'm saying is that he has to understand these guys are going to be 150% quicker, faster, stronger than what he dealt with at North Dakota State. It is going to be a major step up.
Yeah,
a major step.
Again, we've seen people from smaller schools, Tony Romo from Southern Illinois.
But that was still Division I.
Yeah, no, but my point is, these kids now play 7-on-7 from the time they're 11. So it's not like the olden days where you sat your junior year in high school, you sat your sophomore and junior year in college. These kids are coming out, they're starting as freshmen. So, Greg, I want to move to the Dallas Cowboys because I look at this team and I say they have a lot of talent. But, Greg, I think Mike McCarthy's the worst coach in the division. Am I wrong for saying that?
Not as far as I'm concerned. You know my feelings. I wrote about it. I've talked about it how many times. The guy that you have in with your Jets now, he's who I wanted hired.
Right.
They had the talent on offense that they didn't need an offensive-minded head coach. The whole focus needed to be put on defense. Now we're going to rely on Dan Quinn to bring that to us as the defensive coordinator. But I would have hired Robert Saleh in a heartbeat 2 years ago.
Yeah, no, I'm happy that the Jets got it. Jared, moving to your San Francisco team, I hate this team for fantasy, right? I hate them. Who's the number one running back? Who's the number one wide receiver? Because I have no idea. Other than Kittle, who's your number one option at running back, and who's your number one option on wide receiver?
Well, running back's always tricky, man. If you look back, I mean, the Shanahan system, you never know who's going to be the number one guy. That's just how it's always been. It's the hot hand. If you look, conventional wisdom tells you it's still going to be Mostert, if he could stay on the field, just because he's so damn explosive. Wide receiver is easy, though. It's Ayuk. I mean, Ayuk is phenomenal. Ayuk's a top 10 receiver in the league. You'll see this year. I mean, hopefully, he has a quarterback that's able to throw him the ball.
Did you just say top 10 wide receiver in the league?
I disagree on this one. No way. I disagree on this one. The guy that's been the more reliable target when healthy, et cetera, is Deebo Samuel. That's going to be the number one guy. You run that 49ers scheme and you look at the guy who gets the most opportunities, it's going to be Samuel.
It won't be. I promise you, it won't be.
Well,
Samuel's a gadget guy. I mean, that's just how it's been. Ayuk is a better natural receiver down the field. He's just he's faster, he's quicker, better hands.
He will be the threat. He will be the deeper threat. I'm talking about the way that you dink and dunk in this league. Samuel will get more targets than Ayuk will. He's going to end up with more targets.
Bet out of this. Sure. We're going to make a bet out of this. I'm going to say Ayuk has 85 catches this year, and Samuel has about 65.
Okay. Wow, you think 20 more?
Yeah.
I don't think so, but we'll see.
Right.
I think so, yeah.
Listen, we'll save this.
It's on tape now, Greg. That's it.
It's on tape. It's on tape. Yeah, it's on tape.
All right, Greg.
And by the way, our two teams are coming off the absolute worst.
Yeah, injuries.
The injury situation. No two teams have had a worse win after replacement than the Cowboys and 49ers did last year.
Yeah.
So we were decimated. I mean, decimated.
Every day,
ridiculous.
Every day, Jared would text me and say another injury, right, Jared?
Yeah, it was amazing. It was to the point where I couldn't even feel anything. I was just like, you expected it at this point. It was like every single day, somebody was getting hurt, no matter what they were doing, where they were at. It was just Final Destination type stuff, man. It was like, no matter what, they were going to get you.
All right, Greg.
I don't understand it.
Greg, can I say that CeeDee Lamb is going to be the number one wide receiver this year?
Not quite. I think he has the chance to do it, but Cooper is still there. My whole thing with Cooper is do his feet hold up? Because that's always been his issues is his feet. His foot, his ankle. He's coming off of some ankle thing right now.
Greg,
that's
he had great chemistry with Dak Prescott. He didn't have any chemistry with Andy Dalton.
No, but he didn't have any chemistry at all with the rest of them. But if you take if you look at it, those 5 games that Dak was in there, passes over 20 yards, Dak and CeeDee Lamb were perfect 158. They were a perfect score. So CeeDee has the opportunity to become that number one receiver, absolutely. But the way that the Cowboys scheme things, etc., and Cooper, he's got that ability that goes unnoticed. He separates himself masterfully. And when Dak sees that he's separated, that ball's going there. That ball's going there.
I loved Cooper when Dak was starting. Jared, let's talk about this defense of the 49ers. A lot of injuries last year, but they were still good. You look at this division, Jared. Is this the best division in football?
Yeah, that's not even debatable. I mean, I think any football fan should be able to understand that there's 4 playoff teams in the West anytime. I mean, obviously, like I said, given if they're all healthy, let's say on paper. I mean, but they're loaded. Think about every big name. I feel it's like a free agent or a guy who got cut from this team, who's a Pro Bowler, who's Where's he go? NFC West. NFC. Anytime is a great. Here's a hell of a player. He's out there. Oh, NFC West is going to get him. He's definitely coming aboard. So that division, yeah, it's loaded from head to toe for sure.
Not just the NFC West. I think the NFC is loaded. I think they're far more deeper and talented. I mean, you look at the worst team, Arizona, on any given day in that division, they could score 34 points, 38 points. I mean, and they, Kyler Murray always gives San Francisco trouble, right?
Yeah, we had an issue with mobile quarterbacks. I mean, I think that's why we finally drafted one. We got tired of watching Kyler Murray and Russell Wilson. I think the real when Josh Allen destroyed them last year, I think that was it. I think they're done. They're going to have to get their own and fight fire with fire because they got to figure the mobile quarterback situation out. They've been getting decimated by them throughout the last 2 or 3 years. Well, actually, since Russell Wilson's been there, if we want to be honest.
Yeah,
but that's not getting your own mobile quarterback doesn't fix being able to stop a mobile quarterback whatsoever. You needed to increase the speed on your defense. Look at what the Browns drafted. Look at what the Cowboys drafted. You look at those 2 drafts on the defensive side, and the one thing that you're going to see is that Browns secondary and the linebacking core is now faster, and the same thing in Dallas. It is faster.
Okay.
Speed is the answer to the mismatch offense.
Jimmy Johnson. Jared, let me go to Greg, then I'll go to you. Jimmy Johnson brought this to Dallas when he was there. Speed in the linebacker position. Go lighter, go leaner. Okay, first question for you, Greg, then we'll go to Jared. What is the weakness of this Dallas Cowboy team? And then, Jared, what's the weakness of the San Francisco team?
Oh, I mean, obviously our defense is the weakness, right? I mean, you look at where they ended up giving up 158 yards on the ground per game. That's just absolutely abhorrent. But again, like I said, the draft picks that they've made, the free agent signings that they've made, the number one thing is they are going to stop the run a whole lot better than they did last year. If you stop the run, you get a little bit better play from your defensive tackles on the inside, so your linebackers aren't being smothered by offensive linemen, so that they can actually make tackles. Then you're going to be better. I mean, there's no way that they're going to head towards being a top 15, top 20 from where they were last year. They get up to that number 20 level, though. If they get around 20, 19, 20, 21, that's an improvement, and it's going to make them dangerous within that division.
Yeah, and I think, Greg, if you the Patriots did this for years. They play from a lead, and you make a team one-dimensional, so that covers
That's
your
right.
defensive weaknesses. Jared, what's the weakness of this team?
Can I say the medical staff? Can I say that? Realistically, I think the weakness is probably the second cornerback position, and maybe just cornerback in general. Verrett's awesome. I mean, Verrett, when he's out there, he's an all-pro type player. I just don't think that the second cornerback was really addressed properly, in my opinion.
Can I ask though, why not? Because you're in a passing league, you're in a passing division. So why wouldn't that be addressed?
Oh, no, he's in the one division where they got that running back focus. Look at Seattle's Carson, blah, blah, that committee there. The 49ers have their own committee. The Rams do the running back committee. You have to be able to deal with that in the NFC West. You got to do it.
No, they focus on pass rush a lot too. So they feel like if the pass rush is there, like you don't have to be the best corners possible. I mean, they showed that in 19. I mean, they didn't have the best. Richard Sherman, they made him look like an all-pro, and then he got exposed like great, but it looked like he was because the pass rush was just phenomenal. So when you get Bosa back, Kinlaw's going to take a monster leap to his second year. Yeah. D Ford, I'm hoping that he could still be out there. They got Ebukam over from the Rams. They're going to turn into a beast. I mean, we got Chris Kisiorek on that defensive line. He's the best defensive line coach in football. I mean, he makes guys just so much better. So I think that's what they're really focused on. They still have some cap room. They could, if they cut a certain guy or trade a certain guy, they're going to save about 23 million on the cap, and you could add a couple more pieces.
You got that's dead money. Remember, it becomes dead money. He's in the dead money situation.
If you cut Garoppolo, we get that's a lot of money. They save. They do.
Yeah, I don't know the exact percentage on that, but hold on one second, guys, because they're going crazy in the chat room because we keep bringing up stuff. So feel free to take a shot. All right, Greg, let's start with you, and then Jared will go back to you because we're at two different positions here. The 49ers lost their defensive coordinator, so I got to assume they're going to take a step back. You guys added a defensive coordinator who should turn that team around. You said they won't be a top 20 team, but I'm going to say if they're not, don't they have the potential to be a top 20 defense?
No, and don't put that. Don't try to make this big leap with what they were last year. Even though they addressed guys in the draft, etc. That's too much. That's too much of a leap. Now,
but Quinn turns teams around right away with his defense.
No, you're not going to do it. You're not going to do it in Dallas. You're simply not.
And what's the reason for that?
Okay, Randy Gregory's getting all this hype right now in the offseason because he's actually had an off season, right? So you got all these guys out here saying double-digit sacks this and no, he's never come close to it. Stop. Just stop. The expectations are being raised way too high here. Until we can see what they actually do on the field, stop with this big jump. They got to show it. They got to prove that they can do these things. The number one thing, like I've said to you for years in Dallas, if you aren't ready for kickoff, especially at home, which just I can never understand, you're not ready for the kickoff and you're not willing to do whatever it takes to get that damn ball back. They've been horrible for years at being a ball hocking group.
But
They're
Greg, we've seen coaches. Jim Harbaugh came in and turned around the 49ers right away. Dan Quinn is in that category of he's not a great head coach, but he's a very good coordinator. So how do they not improve?
I'm from Missouri.
Show me. Okay.
Show me.
All right.
I want proof. I want the proof.
That's fair.
You know?
All right. Jared, you lose your defensive coordinator. He goes to the Jets. I got to assume they're taking a step back.
I don't know why you're assuming that because D'Amico Ryans is awesome. I mean, the guys love him just as much as they love Salah. So if you look at Ryans, what he's done, I mean, he was an all-pro linebacker. I don't know if you remember when he came in. And the guy is just smart. He gets it. His nickname is Mufasa. So he's also a leader of men. They call him Mufasa. He has that kind of just aura around him. And I think he's going to make that defense a little more aggressive, do a couple of things, that Salah – he wasn't too much of a gambler. He was really, let's sit in the cover three. Let's just stay where we are, and I think that Ryans is going to have the linebackers blitzing a little bit more. I think Fred Warner, for example, I think he's just going to have he should be a defensive player of the year candidate, I think, because he's going to be able to rack up a couple more numbers. They're going to give him more responsibility, and he can take that. He's one of the smartest guys in the league. And I think obviously also seeing through the lens of being a linebacker, Ryans himself, and he sees what Fred Warner could do. I think he's going to unleash hell on everybody. And I think I'm not thinking they're going to have a step back, honestly, because you're getting most of that, bro. You got to realize how that 5 pressures right there a season. So that's big time.
Okay, Jared, over under for the 49ers, 11 wins in a 17-game season.
Oh, man. Can I push?
No.
I'll say over then. I'll have faith. I'll say 12-5.
You're saying 12-5. All right. Greg, right here for you. Over under Cowboys, 10.5 wins.
Over.
Oh,
so
wow.
You think the Cowboys are winning the division?
Wow.
We're going to take 11-6, and we're going to start. We're going to start Thursday
with no defense.
Thursday night, week 1. Against the defending Super Bowl hungover Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who, by the way, were 29th for points per game allowed.
Well,
Mr.
yes.
Mr. Prescott and Cooper and Gallup and Lamb. And they're going to be all these Cowboys, they can't do anything. They were such a bad team, blah, blah, blah. They're going to be so overconfident. The Cowboys are going to win week 1.
Andrea's laughing at the 11-6. Okay, I will say this, Greg.
Hey,
Tom Brady is never overconfident. On national TV, he wants to play his best. And
he's only one of 22 guys.
Right, but they didn't lose any major players in offseason, just like Kansas City didn't last year. And I will say this, their defense under Todd Bowles, the last 5 games and the 4 games and the playoff games, look what they did to the Chiefs. Todd Bowles is no joke.
The last two true dynasties in the league? True dynasties that could come back year after year?
Dallas and San Francisco?
You damn right. Those are the last two.
All right.
Guess what? It hasn't happened. It hasn't happened in 25 years.
Listen,
26.
the last thing I want to see next year is Tom Brady going to another Super Bowl. That's why I'm hoping Aaron Rodgers gets the hell out of Dodge. All right, gonna end with this, guys. Talking with Greg Rector here and Jared Milligan live on the Full Monty Sports Show. We have a few minutes left. There was some controversy. Jared, I'm going to start with you. There was some controversy this week, but I don't think it was controversial. Maybe Jalen Rose shouldn't have put it that this was a tokenism, but let's be honest here. Kevin Love has not been a top 30 player for the last 4 years. 17 points, 10 rebounds, 17 points, 9 rebounds, 12.6 rebounds, 22 games, 56 games, 26 games. Jared, how the hell is Kevin Love on the Olympic team?
Yeah, no, it's kind of wild, man. I mean, I don't know what you would call it. I would just call it not right, because clearly, yeah, you're right. He hasn't been a top 30 player in a long time. So if you're out there representing your country, you're supposed to be the best of the best. Then no matter, I don't care what color you are, what creed, whatever you are, you got your skills, your performance. That's what's going to get you there. Not your past resume either. I feel like, and there's definitely a bunch of guys who could have taken that spot. I mean,
Jalen Rose may have been wrong in what he said or presenting it, but let's be honest, Kevin Love doesn't deserve to be there.
No, but the guy who's coaching is Popovich, and he wanted somebody closer to his own age on the team. That's it.
All right. Okay, Greg, I know this is supposed to be the best of the best, but if I'm the NBA, we know the NBA doesn't like to get involved with college. They say, hey, 1 year, whatever. But if I'm the NBA, I say, if you're in the league over 10 years, you can no longer qualify to play for the NBA because injuries can happen. You're lugging a lot of miles. If you want to do it your first 10 years, feel free. After that, any veteran over 10 years should not be eligible to play in the Olympic Games.
I have no problem with that. I'm old. I remember it used to be college seniors that would represent the U.S. Not just college seniors, but then you had the dream team, blah, blah, blah. Olympic soccer does it right. You still get the stars, but they're the young stars.
Right.
23 up to 23 years old only, done. There's so much 18 to 23-year-old depth. Do it that way. Just do it.
I mean, one of the things, Jared, is, we didn't want to lose because other teams are sending their professionals. So I get it. But if I'm an owner of a team, for example, and I have a guy who's in the twilight of his career, like LeBron, I'm just using LeBron James as an example. After 10 years, you say, look, you can't play in the Olympics because we invest all this money in you, and we don't want wear and tear.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you protect your assets. That's true. I mean, it's a business. Ultimately, you hear that all the time. It's a business. It's a business. So I think it should be a business when it comes to this too. And I think you're right. I mean, you shouldn't. I used to hate. So when I was a Spurs fan, I used to hate later in their career when Ginobili would go play for Argentina. When Parker would go play for France, I would just think to myself, like, oh my God, this is just. And they had deep playoff runs every year for 15 years.
That's what I'm saying.
Like unnecessary miles on the body. Like, please stop. Like, don't. I'm over there like.
But you have to.
Is he okay? Is he making none of this and make it into our season?
You have to understand. Yeah, but you have to understand. In the rest of the world, a world title in hockey, basketball means more than an NBA title, a Stanley Cup title.
Baseball, Greg. Baseball.
Yeah. It's the same thing. It means more. They're culturally brought up with representing their country for a world title, not just the NBA, not the NHL. Yeah. So we in North America have to understand they come from a different mindset altogether, right?
Still scared me.
Oh yeah. Like, I say you solve that problem by putting in the 23, 24, make it 24. Yeah. Nobody over the age of 24 goes. Now, for this one, I don't think anybody from the NBA should be going. You had the collapse of the bubble, the short off season. You've gotten this condensed season. You're going through this playoff run now, etc. Their bodies are shot. I wrote about it. The bodies are shot.
Yeah. Listen, LeBron said it best. He said it was too early to start, and that's why players are getting hurt. Okay, give me your prediction here. I'm assuming you're both going to take Phoenix. I'm going to put my Atlanta Hawks thing up here. Jared, we'll start with you. Do the Hawks beat the Bucks?
No.
Okay, 6 games, 5 games, what?
No, I think it might go 7, but I still think the Bucks. I think the Bucks will figure out a way to make it happen. I think they're. I need to see Giannis get into the finals, man. I feel bad for him. He works his ass off, so he deserves it. You know,
He does, and I do give him credit because he has improved his game, unlike Ben Simmons. Greg, do the Hawks win?
No.
Wow.
They found an answer, and that answer has been exactly what I kept talking about from the moment they played the Knicks. Get physical with Trae Young. Drew Holiday got physical with him. That's all you had to do. He didn't go out and commit a flagrant or anything like that. He physically outplayed Trae Young.
Well,
and it's possible.
I've been saying the same thing forever with this kid. Like, why don't people just beat him up a little bit? Like, you don't have to maliciously, hurt the guy, but like, let him know. And also,
exactly,
and then make him play defense. So I don't understand why teams don't post his little. He's so small and so frail. Post him up a couple times. See how he reacts. Take his legs from underneath him. He ain't gonna be shooting 30 jump shots when you have no legs in the fourth quarter.
That's right.
Defending in the post. And
I've got one the stat that I want to get out there that I saw this morning. All of our favorite. In Lakerland, anyway, our favorite target of abuse, of course, is Pandemic P. Pandemic P last night, that was the 11th time in the playoffs, 11, that he shot under 25%.
Wow. I think Paul George, forget about, defense. I think Paul George going to Portland would be a great fit because we've seen Portland. Yeah. They have no wing defenders ever. Carmelo can't do it. And him as a third option is a perfect fit for him. People want to make him a second option, a first option, with Kawhi out. And finally, Jared, do you think they're going to break up the Clipper team if they lose?
Yeah.
It's over.
Yeah, I think they're gone. That's it. It's a wrap for them.
Yeah.
And you think they break them up in the offseason, right?
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, guys, love having you on. Listen, I predicted the Bucks to win in 6, but I'm on the Atlanta Hawk bandwagon, and it's going to be interesting tonight because I think the coaching disparity is so great between these two. It's going to be interesting to see. Greg, Jared, final point. Why don't they have Lou Williams run the point on certain areas and put Trae coming off screens because he's such a pure shooter? The only thing I disagree with Nate McMillan is run the play that they used to do for Reggie Miller, Greg. Why do we constantly see Trae Young come off a ball screen, and if they blitz him, he's so small? Why don't they make him a jump shooter, Greg?
Are you talking about that mid-level screen?
Yeah, I'm talking about where Reggie Miller would stand in the paint, and two guys, and he goes to either side. Let Trae Young be a jump shooter.
Yep, absolutely. I mean, that's it's pick and pop basketball, and it works.
Yeah, you gotta be willing to do it though. You gotta be willing to do it too. Maybe Trae, he doesn't want that role. These young cats, they like the ball in their hands, man. They like the razzle-dazzle. They love that.
I'm not
they don't
saying
like that
all
playing
the
off
time.
the ball stuff.
But
agree.
Again,
You're 100% right. I agree. They should definitely implement that.
You switch it up. Especially at those times where Trae has put up a couple of threes and they're clanging off. Yeah. Oh, let's get him a little bit closer here. See, your shot's going in. There's no need to force anything, etc. But teams just don't do this, Monty. They don't do it. And I'm so tired of hearing from all these people about 3 inside the paint.
Yeah, but Greg,
70. No, I'm talking about 73% all across the league inside the paint. That's the number.
Greg,
you move out from there. You move out from there, and it drops. If that stupid 3 isn't falling, get your butt inside.
Greg,
and I don't care who you are.
But Greg, you have to understand something, and you know this. You've coached. You've watched numerous games. When a team's strength is shooting the 3. Okay, and when your best post player is Danilo Gallinari, you're going to shoot 3s.
This is coaching. This goes to coaching.
Okay, but you can't blame the players for living and dying what brought them there.
That's also the system too. Yeah, well, at a point, it's just what it is. You live by it, die by it. That's what it is.
Which I said about Utah. I said Utah was going to live and die by the 3 because that's all they did all year, and it became their fatal flaw. This is the problem. Basketball is not just fire it up from as far away as possible. It never has been. And this goes to the coaches. This goes to the coaches.
Well, that's
you've got to be able to be flexible enough to switch it up and get back inside. Done. Let's go. Get points on the board. That fourth quarter last night.
It was horrible.
That was horrifying.
Tough to watch.
Who put this is someone put it's like the Knicks Chicago. I'm like
I did.
Yeah,
it was
yeah. But the thing is,
actually, it was almost as bad as the Pistons in the early 2000s. I was forgetting about those Pistons. 66-64 against Utah that one time.
The whole 2005 finals, like the Spurs and Pistons.
Yeah.
78-75, 81-79.
That one up next was the Spurs Pistons one, right? That's horrible. I mean, come on. There's a way to win basketball, and it has to be more than just one way.
I don't even know what this means. Kevin Love is the guy who averaged equal points per game. I said, I don't know why they want. I don't know why they want Kevin Love on the Olympic team.
This goes back to the conspiracy about when LeBron came back to Cleveland. That when they were able to, with a 1.8% chance, they got that first pick in the draft, which turned out to be Wiggins, who they traded to Minnesota.
Which was a great trade. It was a great trade. Same with getting Anthony Davis to the Lakers, because you look at Brandon Ingram, Ball, those guys can't even make the playoffs.
No, exactly. But that comment goes back to that year where it was real kind of fishy how everything lined up the way LeBron wanted it to come back to Cleveland.
Jared, final question. If your coach out in San Francisco, Shanahan, doesn't make a deep playoff run, is he on the hot seat?
Nah. I think he's under contract for a few more years, and they gave him his shiny toy finally to play with. So I think he's on a 2 or 3 year leash. And if all he needs is a healthy quarterback. He's proven that. So as long as his quarterback can stay healthy, he's going to win games just by default. He'll do that. So I don't think he's going to be on the hot seat unless
Greg, if they don't win the division out. Greg, if they don't win the
John Lynch is the guy on the hot seat in San Francisco.
More so than Shanahan. Yeah.
Okay, Greg, if Dallas doesn't win the division, is Mike McCarthy out?
They need to get to a fairly deep playoff run, or they may just make a change.
Is winning the division and losing in the first round enough, or he's got to make a deep run?
See, this is the hard part, because I've got the world's worst general manager / owner, and loyalty in him drives me bananas. You know who I'm referring to? My 9.5 years of total frustration.
Yes.
See, that's the thing that you always have to take into account, is that 78-year-old mind, where it goes. If it was Steven, I think you're going to see cut and dried, he's out of here. But the old guy's still around, so, no, he went through this, give him excuses, whatever. I wasn't sold on McCarthy in Green Bay. You know that. I wasn't sold on him coming to Dallas. I really, really, really felt that this organization needed to go to a defensive coach. Build an identity, a real identity.
Jared,
he's just not good. He's been terrible. Like Aaron Rodgers, he's the only guy that's been able to stop Aaron Rodgers. Let's put it that way. Like I feel so bad for Aaron Rodgers' whole career. I mean, to me, you know how I feel. I think he's the best football player of all time, and he's just been done such a disservice in that place. That's why he needs to get the hell out of there. For them to keep McCarthy around for all those years and Rodgers just carrying that team and just making it like, bro, what are you doing? And the Cowboys hiring this guy, I audibly laughed out loud. I'm like, what are you doing? This guy is so bad. Like, so bad. He's never been a good coach. I don't see the allure with him at all. He's like the Doc Rivers of the NFL to me.
I think when he first came into the league, teams were kind of confused. But like Rex Ryan, they've adjusted to him, and he hasn't adjusted. So we'll end with there, because we'll end with something we all agree with, that Aaron Rodgers won despite Mike McCarthy. All right, Jared, start with you. How can we follow you on social media? And you're saying that San Francisco is going 11-6, correct?
Yeah, realistically, that's what I would say. You made me say 12-5 because I couldn't push, but I'm thinking 11-6 would be more realistic, just because the gauntlet of the NFC West. You're going to lose some games that you thought maybe you should have won. It's a game of inches in the NFC West. Every year you see that, so I'm thinking you're going to lose at least 3-4 divisional games, and then save another 1 or 2 for your non-division games.
Jared, final question. Are the Rams going to be better this year than they were last year?
It's hard to say because they did lose a lot on defense.
Yes.
Offensively, I'm telling you right now, Stafford's putting up 5,000. He's putting up 5,000 yards. I'm telling you, people are going to see how good this dude really is because I think he's phenomenal, and you're going to see it in that offense. He's putting up 5,000 yards. Now, are they going to win 13 games? I don't know because that defense is not what they were last year. That one of the best defenses.
Yeah, but as long as you have Donald and Ramsey, you're pretty good.
You got the cornerstones. That's for sure. I like what they do there. Being a Niner fan, I kind of envy their philosophy. Like, go get the guy. Who cares what it costs? Get it. Make your team better at the cornerstone positions. And figure the rest out. I think that's a great way to play.
Greg, final question for you, and then we'll tell you, and then you guys can tell us how we can support you. Are the Rams going to win the division?
I have the Rams winning the division, and surprise, surprise, I'll say it right now, I have the Rams being the NFC champions this year.
Wow.
Okay.
Angry George and angrier Greg are going to be at 1,000% agreement. I have the Rams winning the NFC this year.
Wow.
Okay, I wouldn't be surprised. I just wouldn't have.
They have those pieces. They've got the pieces, and when you got that Donald and Ramsey combination, you got that defense, and they turn the ball over.
They can't beat the 49ers though.
Well, that's why Sean McVay went out and did what he had to do.
If they're relevant, they can't beat us. So they're 6-0 against them in the last couple of years. So
that's fine. But my whole thing is they may not have to even worry about the 49ers because, again, you got your injury, the injury bug that keeps hitting them. And the 49ers have their own bugaboos.
That's fair. I mean, but I still think they're the best team.
And this is why I keep saying this year when everybody talks about a team's record and that, if you look at everybody's schedule from top to bottom, every division, they have their bugaboos this year. And a lot of it, like especially their out-of-conference games and stuff like that, teams that they've never performed well against. And they're a lot of the time they're on the road for that game. And it's just like, that doesn't match up good for these guys. That one doesn't match up good. You take a look at that schedule, and I have a hard time seeing anybody 13-4 at the absolute maximum.
Yeah. No, listen, I think the Rams definitely are going to improve. I think the reason why they went out and got Stafford is because he's tired of losing to his buddy Shanahan. He's tired of going up against, a defensive team that totally neutralizes your quarterback. All right, Jared, how can we follow you? How can we support you? And again, 12-5, put it in the record books.
12-5.
No, you give him 11-6. You let him sit there at 11. Thank you very much.
11-6, man. We're going 11-6 because I don't want to.
That's right.
I don't want to be too overzealous here. You see the Twitter handle right there, Batman Bates Buck. That's really much where I'm. That's it.
Can you just admit now that I was right about the Atlanta Hawks all along?
Of course. Oh. I have to. I never said you were wrong, Ma. You know that. I never said you were wrong.
Yeah.
I was waiting to see it in the playoffs, and you're right. I mean, so far they've played really well. I mean, they got some swag for someone who hasn't done anything.
Right.
Especially your little curly-headed hamster. He got there, shimmying on people and thinking like he's my bro. Relax. This is the second round of playoffs in your career. Like, calm down, bro. You haven't won like 2 championships or something.
It's not
shimmying on people. Relax.
It's not the Hawks. It's not anything to do with the Hawks, Monty. It was your over-the-top man crush. Okay, that's what we all went after. Was the man crush. We're going to do this.
And that's fine, but I'm just telling you, if they win tonight, I'm going to be so even more annoying than I already am. I'm just telling you.
Not possible.
Yeah.
All right. Greg, thanks, Jared, so much. Greg, how can we follow you? How can we support you? Thank you for writing that Toronto. Talk about real quick, you got like a minute left, about Vlad Guerrero. He's definitely winning the MVP. You wrote the article on Toronto.
Well, yeah.
He's winning the MVP, right?
Well, Ohani and Tatis are hitting home runs too, but they don't have the average. They don't have the other OPS and all that sort of stuff that Vlad has. This kid just wow. You watch him in the box, and he's the total opposite of his dad, who was the best junk ball hitter I've ever seen in my life. But Vlad Guerrero Jr., he forces pitchers to come to his strength. He's doing it. And as soon as he finds that pitch that he wants, bang, he's hammering that thing. Just
It's
hammering it.
amazing because his dad was
Was
such a
so yeah,
bad ball hitter. Everything low and outside or low and inside, he'd cream it.
high and outside. He could be 4 feet off the plate and smack it for a home run.
Are we gonna
That's
see? Are we gonna see more teams? Are we gonna see his intentional walk numbers go up? Because
oh yeah.
I gotta say, I'm not pitching to this guy late in games, even when no one's on.
It wasn't even against Baltimore. It didn't have to be late in the game. He got his home run yesterday, and then after that, his next 2 trips up, it was the unintentional intentional walk,
Right.
both immediately. Now, what you're going to run into though is you got to have Teoscar Hernandez and Springer is sitting in the 5th slot. So if you want to do that, do it at your own peril. If you want to walk Vladdy, because they made Baltimore pay for it yesterday by doing it.
I gotta assume his second half of the season walks are going to skyrocket, Greg.
Oh, I think they'll go up, but he's disciplined. He doesn't care. He will not chase.
Well, that's
He
what I'm saying.
doesn't
I'm
chase.
saying that they're going to start intentional walking and just pitching around them because they don't want him to kill him with a 3-run homer or 2-run homer late after the 6th inning.
But like I just said, with Springer and Hernandez sitting right behind him, who can both put it out of the park too, you do so at your own peril.
Yeah.
That Jays lineup right now, when you take them from 1 through 6, ooh, that's a pretty scary bunch right now. Simeon, Bichette, Vlad.
Are they going to be? What are they going to do at the trade deadline? Are you expecting them to do something aggressive?
Yeah, they have got to get because their bullpen has been hurt all year long. They've struggled all year long with their bullpen. The guys have been going out there hurt. You could tell, like Romano. He's trying to gut through this. They picked up Barnes from the Mets. He's had a couple of good appearances yesterday as well, but they've got to get arms. If they don't get arms, they're not. They could be in the wild card. They should make that wild card again this year. But
right,
your Red Sox 5-0.
Yeah, and
against
my Mets,
the evil empire.
Jacob deGrom gave up 2 runs for the first time all year. They still went out and won. The Mets can't score. Their offense is atrocious. But yeah, talking about the Red Sox. Listen, I had Kirk Acevedo, the actor, on. He's talking about the Yankees. It's time for Boone to go. The team plays with no urgency. They have no swag.
There's no heart.
There's no heart.
There's just no heart.
Yeah,
you could see it.
They don't care. All right, Greg, how can we follow you? How can we support you? Any articles coming out this week?
Yeah, I should have a article about the lottery for the NBA draft. That should be coming out at Greg Cowboys on Twitter, and Nuts and Bolts Sports articles on various things at various times. You got it. Okay, Greg, who wins Game 3 tonight, Hawks or Milwaukee? Hawks. Hawks. Yeah, I think Hawks win tonight too. You're gonna be the most annoying. Oh. All right, Greg. Thanks so much, man. Really appreciate you taking the time out. Have a good Sunday. All right, I want to thank Greg. I want to thank Karita Parks. I want to thank you. And finally, for our final point, just want to bring up something that hopefully is not really an issue going down the road. A player came out this week, said he was gay, and overwhelmingly, Carnassip had a nothing but positives commenting. There was a few knuckleheads who said what they had to say and really, really were disrespectful. But we want to hope that we're coming to a point in our society. I say this all the time. I don't care if someone's gay. I don't care if someone's lesbians. I don't care if someone's bi. What you do in your bedroom, what you do is up to you. It has no bearing. It has no effect on my life. The one good news is that on Fanatics.com or one of the websites, his football jersey was the #1 sale the day after he came out of the closet and he announced that he was gay. I don't care that I hope we come to a point in our society where someone can announce this and everyone will just be like, all right, cool. Because that's what I said. I said, good for him. Good for him. What someone does in their bedroom between 2 consenting adults has no bearing on my life. Again, I want to thank Greg Rector. I want to thank Jared Milligan. I want to thank Karita Parks. And I want to thank you all for tuning in to the full Monte Sports Show. We'll be live Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time talking about the NBA playoffs. And in the immortal words of Arnold Schwarzenegger,
I'll be back.